Hey everyone, we are back for another progress video for Damon Claw. So we're going to dive in very shortly and start making progress. With me as always is Corey. Say hi, Corey.
Hey, how's it going?
Alright, so what we're going to do is first review a lot of the art Corey has been doing behind the scenes that we are finally getting into the game now. And we can start with the HUD. He did a really nice job updating the HUD and specifically the gauntlets, which you can look at past videos. They were much less nicely colored and shaded, and he improved that a lot. And then the other things are, let me get into the beloved spriter layout. So the shield, back in the video where we added the second alternate Birdman type with the stronger shield and the bigger weapon, that's the sub-boss, right? The Birdman sub-boss.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I originally just really quickly cloned the regular smaller shield from the regular alt Birdman and just dragged it like this to enlarge it and went with that at the time. But Corey made the actual art for that broken piece, so I got that in there. And the other one was the boomerang. I did the same thing. He has a bigger boomerang blade weapon, and I had just cloned it and enlarged it, and now we have in the real art for that. And then aside from that, he made some very nice tweaks just to improve the visual quality of that Birdman sub-boss, which I can show you right within Spriter itself. Maybe you want to, once I enlarge this here, you might want to explain the tweaks you made.
Yeah, I wanted to give him like heavier claws on his feet.
Yeah.
Changed the eye color to more of a blue because it seems to stand out from the helmet a little better.
Yeah.
And made his weapon larger to match the new art for that. And a few little just minor pixel tweaks here and there to, I think, his helmet and a few other things. But yeah, I mean, he looks relatively the same, but
right.
You know, it was enough to give him that extra polish that I think he needed. So
very nice stuff. Okay, so, and aside from that, the other thing, as you might recall, I started designing this game a long time ago as basically a technical proof of concept for what could be done on classic Amiga computers. So this game is based around a retro 30-year-old computer system that was way ahead of its time for graphic and sound abilities, but still had very specific, and in the case of this game, some fairly severe limitations with how colors could be used for the background and stuff like that. And one of the side effects of making the game sort of compatible with how it would be made on the classic Amiga is that we can't just arbitrarily change the colors in the environment without that also, at least in the real Amiga version, it would also change the colors a bit in the player character and some special effects and stuff like that. So we're actually, because we're working with a very good programmer that actually makes new games for retro Amiga computers, he's eventually going to port this game when we're done with it to run on actual 30-year-old classic Amigas. So we're being extra mindful and careful to make sure that this version made in Construct for modern platforms actually adheres as closely as we can come to the technical constraints of the classic Amiga. So in part of doing that, Corey took the time to redo, and sometimes it's very, very subtle, but to redo the graphics that are across different levels, like some of the special effects, that should have a slight color tweak to them to match the color indexes used in the environment graphics. So as an example, the explosion that's used throughout the game for enemies that blow up, now you'll see we added a number 2 variant default, a number 3. You could see the that's actually the palette for right now. I think Corey only made the alternate palette for level 2 because that's the vertical slice of the game we're working on. We just want to really polish up level 1 and then the boss fight and then eventually level 2. So for now, we don't have to worry about the other palettes so much, but I did at least import the new graphics Corey made for default 2, which you can see is a bit different from the regular default. And then
I don't know if we ever mentioned it before in our videos, but I did this for the player character as well. Like when he's in level 2, he gets that slight change and matches the environment out.
And the fun thing about that, I don't think we did. I don't remember. This is like our 25th video, I think. So it's hard to remember that far back. But the cool thing with the player is he's a spriter character. So Corey was able to set it up as a what's called character map in the spriter file that will automatically swap out all of the player's images for the different level he's in to make sure his colors properly update. So now it's a matter of the regular construct sprite objects. So now one of the things we're going to do in the video is actually edit the code so that these sprites automatically play the appropriate different animations per level. All right, and some of the other things that also have color changes between levels, there's the health pickup, so that has the same thing, a new variant of the animation with the slightly different colors. And then what's interesting about the power-up pickups is not only does its color change, but its appearance changes as well to match the different power you get for that level. So Corey made the art for the lightning power-up that you get in level 2. And then there is what is the other thing, Corey?
I think just those little pickup orbs that you get.
Yes.
That fill your
Yep, so these have very slight color changes between the levels, so we did the same thing with that. And then there's the pickup flash, same thing. Very subtle color changes between the levels. And I feel like there's one more thing.
I think that may be it for just the color.
Yep. Okay. Changes. Well, if not, we'll remember during the course of the video. Bring that back up. But and I just remembered the other thing that I forgot to mention. It wasn't related to this. It was just something else that we're going to do in this video, which I'm really excited about, is Corey. I don't know if you've seen the new time-lapse video, but he did a great job quite a while back redoing and replacing the original placeholder environment art I had made that came directly from back when it was simply a classic Amiga proof of concept demo. And so he made that much better looking and matched the exact visual style of the game as it evolved once Corey came on board and really raised the bar. And then the other thing is, so that was his first time-lapse video, and in the second one he added a lot more variety to the level tile set. So what we want to do is have the environment also reflect progress in the level. So at first it's going to start very much just wilderness, and then a little bit of rubble and stone is going to creep in, and then clearly broken architecture. And then eventually when you get toward the end of the level, there's going to be a lot more man-made Greco-Roman-esque architecture covering a lot of the actual pathway that you walk on in the background and even the foreground. So that's one of the other important things we're going to do in this video is actually load in the new complete level tile map that Corey has already made and saved out. Or actually, he made it, and I think it's still just saved as a PMP file from Promotion, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We'll go in.
Yeah, I was going to say we would just have to re-import it the way we did previously. You know?
Yeah.
But it should have the correct width and everything as far as the tiles go. Yeah.
Right, very cool. And is the wind getting picked up by the microphone? It's super windy outside right now.
No, I can't hear it.
Okay. All right, so yeah, why don't we make that the first thing we do then, is to get into Promotion and load up that file. All right, so I just loaded it up in Promotion, and as you can see, it beautifully now starts just as wilderness with only natural rocks. Then we start to get some little bit of architecture, and then a nice little transition into the paved area, and then more of the ruins, and then into actual full-on architecture with broken statues, more complete statues, and then toward the end a different use of the architecture you've seen before to make a very different. I really like how this feels a lot like a Roman sort of walkway to something very important, where it's the columns, it's purely aesthetic and not so much functional, and it's all about leading you up to an important building or something else. So that's perfect for leading up to the boss fight. So great job as always. So yeah, let's get this exported from Promotion the right way so that we can import it directly with very little trouble into Construct. So we just need to choose Tile Mapping Export All, and we're going to make sure we want this to be set to, we'll do 24-bit PNG, and then this, I think keeping the texture smaller is better. It defaults to 40, which would be bigger than the 512, like a nice tidy. I think we could fit it easily in under a 512 by 512 texture, which is a little better for performance, or it might be depending on the platform. And then I'm pretty sure we need TMX format, and then we'll choose just desktop to keep it simple, easy to find. And then there we go. Well, that took a while to update. Base file name, we'll just do new level 1. And export, just go into construct, and then we will make sure FG, which is foreground, is not locked, so we can click on the actual tile map object, click on the tile map tab, and then you'll see right here there's import, yep, TMX, and then now we can just go right to the desktop folder and pick the file, new level. This is it, and it should ask me to if I want to replace the image of the tile set as well. That would be yes. And there you see it updated the tiles and it updated the entire map. And it should have even look how
there's a little gap.
Yeah, obviously we can just change the length of the level very easily.
Well, I know that like it kind of hangs off to the left a little bit because of the
right. That's a great point.
Yeah, of the it doesn't.
Yeah,
because
there's
of
no
where our
need.
border is. Yeah.
So we could theoretically start like that. That's a great point, Corey. And we'll just do a really quick test run. Okay. It's going to hang off here too, so that wouldn't have been a problem either way. You know what I mean? The frames on both sides. Yeah. So this is perfect.
Nice.
All right, very, very cool. All right, so let's actually test run it and see how it looks. Very nice. I have to remember I have the uppercut move. Oh, I a few minutes ago I was testing before we were recording, and I managed to kill both enemies at exactly the same time, and it looks like it caused a bug that the variable didn't go to 2, so it didn't unlock the scrolling after I beat them, so I was just stuck there. So at some point I'll have to look at that code and see how to redo it to make sure that can't happen. Beautiful, look at this. What a difference it makes with the sense of progression.
Yeah,
wow, what a big difference. Ouchie. Alright. There we go, nice. Oh, nice, I uppercutted to get the power up there. I did notice that as well. Currently, if you get really powerful, the uppercut brings you nearly off screen. I think it...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it's letting the power-up value go beyond whatever the limit is, like 4 or 5. Oh, maybe not. No, I think we did limit it, but it's not just 3. It's like you keep getting more powerful. Like the attack blur goes farther and further out when you punch and all that stuff. So yeah, you get, as you can see, pretty darn powerful. Anyway, but this is looking beautiful, Corey. It adds so much to the level, the sense of progress. And so we're about to move on to the next step, which is currently this foreground here. Let me get back to layers. This extreme foreground is just a basic tiled background object in construct. And because of that reason, it's just this probably 32 or 60, I think 64 pixel wide pattern over and over again. And obviously that does not reflect the same thing that Corey just added, this beautiful transition over time, and it would be nice to have that same sort of thing going here. So what we need to do in order to do that is replace this object outright with an actual tile map object. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go into ProMotion. Alright, so we just need to make sure this is unlocked. We're going to double click. And we're going to add a tile map object instead. And, oh yeah, that's right, we need to go into ProMotion first. So we'll just leave this as is for now. And I will rename this to something like level 1 FFG tile map. There we go.
Okay.
Alright, let's go into ProMotion. And we have this giant thing up here. Let's put it down where it belongs roughly. This is it. Replace image. Beautiful. Alright. And now we'll just make sure this is very close to the same position. I'll move it over a little bit so we can delete out the old one from beneath. There we go, and we'll see how this looks. There we go. It does look better with the beefier leaf foliage.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Just trying to find, a happy medium between what we used to have and what I had created. So.
Oops. Nice. All right. That works. So, and then the other thing to add additional variety down here is there's a couple of other variants that we can put in for this tree, or instead of this tree, which is going to be made out of sprites. So I can double click on that. Do you already have those images saved out yet as their own things, or are they sweet?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So we will change the animation speed to 0, and we will add a frame, and let's start loading those things in. So Damon Claw.
I believe it's under sprites level 1.
Awesome.
So
Beautiful.
there's
There
two
we go.
variant species.
Very nice. So we'll do the small one first. Get that hot spot down at the bottom there. And then add another frame. Alright, so now what we can do is I can drag them over as an example, and then just scroll down here, initial frame, and set that to 1.
Nice.
And then we'll have another one, then maybe here. And this is probably too soon, but we'll adjust their placement later. For now, it's to show that it's working and to get that variety in there, if that makes sense. And then they can overlap. We can decide to put them like this if we want to, or up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sort of like them
overlapping
and the black sort of meeting the bottom, because it kind of breaks up that line of the foliage, All
right, let's do that. And I guess we'll do the same thing with the trees. Oops, this tree is behind, so we need to just do this. There we go, that's too low.
Yeah, something. Yeah, that with the trees.
Same thing here.
Yeah, I don't know. We can figure that out. I mean, like,
exactly.
I'm not too picky about which way it's done, honestly, but
technically this is more accurate that the sprites would be in front of the background graphics. So we might as well fix the Z order issue so that we can freely tweak the placement as we see fit once we see how it looks. So I'll save my progress, and then we will run the level again.
Okay.
All right, that looks great. I keep forgetting. The first time I always forget the uppercut exists. All right. Take that. I'm also missing my super jump for some reason. There we go. Nice, look at the column down there. Very, very nice. Alright, so yeah, we've got all the visual variety we need, I think, for this environment. And so the next big step, not in this video, but that's going to be at least covered in part of the next video, is going to be tweaking the choreography of the level when enemies appear and at what positions and stuff like that. But also, once we get that done as best we can with the current existing enemy sets, we might decide that we also want to have a section of the level that has environmental hazards of some kind. Like one of the things we discussed was maybe giant stones coming from the sky and slamming into the ground from a catapult or something like that that you would end up seeing closer to the end of the level. Those sorts of ideas we will know relatively soon, after we've had a chance to really try to perfect the gameplay and make sure it doesn't get boring at all, it doesn't get repetitive once we get that all working as best we can. We'll make that judgment call if we need to add an environmental hazard to this level, and we'll do the same for every level. Just see if we need to add even more new content to make sure things stay really interesting and exciting while you're playing.
I noticed for whatever reason those sub-boss guys, like their shields are starting like half broken instead of full.
Interesting. That's a good that's a good bug to keep an eye on. All right, or to take a look at. Like I don't want to focus on bugs too much on this video because the video will go on forever. But it's definitely, I'll note it down. Yeah, you're right. They're starting partially broken. I don't think I ported the code that handles applying the character maps to the sub-boss. But if that were true, that would mean the default state of the shield in the spriter file would be partially broken, which I cannot imagine is true.
Right. Yeah.
So
maybe
I guess when
it's possible. Maybe I replaced the files inversely or something.
Interesting. That's
and
interesting.
without realizing it, But
all right, but we'll just write that down. Would you mind actually just jotting down a note of that bug so that you can remind me after the video when I start going through other minor bugs like that to fix? Oh, speaking of bugs, I should also mention before recording this video, I did handle a couple of these same kind of bugs that are very easy to fix and very easy to explain how I fixed after the fact. So 2 bugs that we noticed in the previous video that were still present are after adding the sub-boss birds that throw the bigger boomerang weapons, I had neglected to duplicate the code from the regular size boomerang from the regular alt birdmen so that those bigger boomerangs actually hurt the player. So all I did was go into level 1 events, gameplay events, I mean, boomerang. So yeah, here it is. So here was the, everything okay over there?
Yeah,
microphone issue? No problem. Boomerang is overlapping. This is for the regular size boomerang hitting the player. So all I had to do was copy this and replace the regular smaller boomerang with boomerang 2, and that allowed the sub-boss Birdman boomerang to hurt the player. And then it was the same exact thing with the, once you have the fireball magic and you shoot the fireball downward, the thing that replaces the drop kick, and the explosion on the ground, that was not hurting the Birdman and the sub-boss Birdman. And it was the same exact thing. All I had to do was go into level 1 events and look for a explosion, I think. And if we look at, where is it? Yeah, here we are. Explosion, overlapping Birdman. We just needed to copy that, paste it here. And, oh yeah, so and this was the same thing for alt Birdman. And now we have the same thing for sub-boss. So I copied one of those two. And I just replaced the spriter object of alt Birdman with Birdman sub-boss, and I replaced the object of the hitbox for the alt Birdman with the hitbox for Birdman sub-boss. Alright, so, and that fixed those 2 bugs. And let's see, what's next on the agenda? Oh, now we need to start doing the actual code that's going to get all those different effects to display the proper animation with the proper colors.
Right.
One of the ones, I think that's the one I was forgetting. I don't think we mentioned dust when we were going through all of them. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't think we spotted it in here, so we didn't talk about it. But somewhere in this mess, I think the only way to find it is in the Objects tab. And there it is, dust. So now dust also has those different variations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into, I guess there's no way to know. So one thing I should do ahead of time for all of these sprites is rename the first default animation so that it's consistent, so that we can use one line of code and it'll work in every level, is to do the, let's see, rename. So for example, explosion default, I'm going to rename that to 1 default. So it's the same exact naming convention as the other default variants.
Right.
And I'm going to do that quickly for all of the things that make this change with the palette. So I'm just going to rename that to 1 default as well. And then this does the same thing. Let me know if I miss anything. Edit animations, rename.
Yeah, then there's the pickup effect, the little...
Yep, this one here, good one. All right. Okay, I think that's all of them. Okay, so now we need to go into, presumably, gameplay events. And we can just start looking for each thing. So we'll do dust first. So you'll see we spawn it. Alright, so this is going to be tricky here. We're going to need a new global value, unless we already made one and I don't remember. Is there a global value that we can set to tell it what level it is yet? It doesn't look like it.
I don't know. There could be code for that, like with the player. Like you're already, I believe, swapping his character map, but I don't know.
That's a really good point. How did we do it?
Specific to the level, or...
So let's look for character map, append, character map, no gauntlet. Maybe we didn't add the code yet to change his colors.
Maybe it's under the level 2 events or something, I don't know.
That's possible. Oh yeah, maybe we're just doing it like hard-coded because there's so few levels.
Right.
Or maybe I just haven't even done it yet. Like I know it works for when you get the power-ups, but I don't remember if we did it for the color changing yet.
Right.
Character... Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think it does it at all.
There's the power type goes to thunder, and that you could say that's sort of determining the level, but not really.
For convenience, we really should have, and we'll use it for the player too. So we're just going to add a global variable, and we're going to call it level, and we're going to make it start at 1 by default, and then all we need to do is at the start of the layout for each level, we'll just add a... So you can see here we're setting... This is pretty standard in every level, but it's separate. It's not in gameplay events because we might want to not reset. Like when you go into the boss fight, I don't think we want to give you a full meter to start with. You get there with however many hit points you got there with. So that's why this is not just in the gameplay events. It's for each specific thing. So that's perfect for us because now we can just do system, set value, level, and in this case it's going to be level... This is level 1, I think I chose. Alright, we just need to copy this now into level 2 events and so on. We'll just go to level 2 for now. That may have been level 2. No, okay, it's not. So, or it wasn't. So level 2. So now we can go back to gameplay events and we can look for dust. And when we spawn it, we can say dust set animation. And it's going to be something plus default, and that's going to be string str parentheses, and then we're going to retrieve that global value called level, and then we need the and. I think that's right. It'll say syntax error if not. Okay, so now it should automatically update based on the level. So we're going to really quickly jump and land on level 1. Then we're going to do it on the snow level, which is perfect. It's the most obvious difference because the dust animation Corey made for the snow level is all white and blue, which makes a lot of sense. So, so that's still normal. That's working perfectly. So now let's go into level 2 and see if it automatically plays the snow. And if that works, we're just going to do the same exact thing using the same variable. That worked, okay?
Yep.
Beautiful, okay. Alright, so now that we know that logic works and we have that variable, I can just go through and do the same exact thing for all the other objects. Alright, so let's go back into the gameplay events quickly and just do another search for dust just to make sure there's no other event that I'm not thinking of that spawns dust. So no, there isn't, at least not in... I'll just do the same thing for level 1 events before we move on to the next sprite, dust. You hear that wind? That's super loud now.
Yeah.
Alright, so, nope. Okay, so we're done with dust, so let's go back to the spriter layout and find the names of some of these other things. So grab flash, we'll do that next. So we're going to go into gameplay events and we're just going to paste that name in there, and now we have everything we need. And it's going to be the same exact formula, which is just going to be, so I can paste it in again, grab flash, set animation, and then it's default, and it's this, and it's string, and it's the global value of level. Done, and then we're going to copy that. I like to be organized and put the animation change directly under the spawn. Interesting, so this doesn't spawn it, this is but this does, okay. There we go, and that should be it for that one, so we'll just move right along to the next object in question.
Yeah, I know the heart. I remember when you initially made it, you were just saying like you made something placeholder, and I never quite thought of what to replace it with.
Exactly, that's a good point.
I mean, I think it works.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like there could be something cooler, like
exactly,
from this world or something that would make more sense, you know?
Totally agree. It's one of those things. I dealt with this with designing the graphics for Metro Siege for the health pickups. Like, I was debating for a while, Trash Turkey is silly and it's really campy, but it's also such canon for fighting games.
Right.
And more importantly, anything that makes more sense, like a Medi kit, is visually so boring.
Yeah.
It's like a box with a white cross or a red cross on it or whatever. It's so boring. Or if you invent something that's not boring, you can't tell what the heck it is.
Right.
So it's one of those things. Like, I'm very willing to replace it if we can come up with something that's better and just as recognizable. And just even at this quickest glance, you know, that's the health, as opposed to like a power-up. But it's actually trickier. It's one of those things that there's a reason those things became tropes, became like sort of canon video game communication. But anyway, you can pull it off. A great example is Mega Man with the health pickups. They became extremely recognizable very quickly to every Mega Man player. Which icon is like a health energy pickup? That's it. We'll just replace the heart with a turkey. It'll be a flying trash turkey. All right, so... Alright, so we're done getting all those sprites to update colors, and we just quickly, when we were not recording, checked to see if the color updating for the hero character has been done yet per level, and it has not, although Corey had made the character maps. So it's going to be a very quick addition to the code to get that to work. So in gameplay events, I'm going to search for append, because that's how you turn on character maps. And you'll see at the beginning, we append the character map called No Gauntlet, which makes it have just the little bracelet he has that turns into gauntlets. I'm getting distracted by the wind. And then you'll see here, when you grab the power-up and you should now have the gauntlet, it appends the particular one for whatever power type is. So on every level, we're setting the power type value to be the specific name of the character map. For example, for level 2, it would be Thunder. So the nice thing that means is all we need to do, theoretically, is copy this and paste it here as well. So at the beginning of the level, you're appending both No Gauntlet and the character map. That gives it the appropriate gauntlet, but at the same time, the way Corey set it up, it's not just giving it the appropriate gauntlet, it's also giving it the appropriate colors for every body part image. So if we look in here, and if you look carefully, I'll zoom way in on him so we can see. If you apply Thunder, his palette changes, his whole body, as well as the gauntlet, but then if we apply No Gauntlet, then he doesn't have that as he should in the beginning. So at the beginning of the game, we're going to apply both. So that's what I just did theoretically. So, so I think it's good, but let me know if you can tell, since the color change is relatively subtle. Let's make sure it's working. Now, there's not going to be a difference for level 1, but just so we can sort of get it in our head what the character looks like without the color changes applied. So there he is in his normal mode. normal, his proper palette for this particular level. And now we're just going to go right into level 2 and see if he properly, 1, does not have the gauntlet at the beginning, and 2, that he is the proper changed color palette. Yeah, that looks more like powder blue.
Yeah.
So it's working. All right.
I believe it's correct,
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Although he does have the gauntlet, which...
Oh, that's a problem. Now, is that a problem because... Yeah, he's not acting like he has... Okay, so I guess my concern was valid. All right, so how do we fix that? And why did it happen? Maybe the order actually will matter. That's interesting. Let's see if the order in which you stack them actually matters. So let's go back into level 2. All I did was swap. That could be. Yeah. I never thought of it that way, but that actually could be the case. Look, no gauntlet.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. So here's what was happening. This is really fascinating and very useful information to know. Okay, so by default, without any character maps applied, he's got the fire gauntlet. And the fire gauntlet is specifically told by no gauntlet we are getting rid of. Like if you look at... So if I think I double click on it, so you'll see if I go under fire...
It's pointing to that fire.
Yeah, it's
art,
specifically saying hide the fire gauntlet stuff. So because Thunder Gauntlet replaces these with the Thunder Gauntlet, then because of the order, the Thunder Gauntlet was not being hidden because it's not being told to be hidden. So this is getting replaced by the Thunder, and then therefore if you have this as the second appended character map, it doesn't count. So that's fascinating. I hope that made sense, everyone. But there, that solved that problem.
Well, it's handy to understand
the logic
for the character maps, because I never imagined that sort of thing would be an issue. But it,
and it's not that it's an issue. Like that is a very useful feature for certain things. Like you might really want that to be the case, but it's just one of those things that it wasn't necessarily that it was programmed that way, and it could have just sort of not done it in a stacked order. Like, it could have always considered the data from the original no character maps and then applied all the character maps based on the original data with no character map. But Edgar took the time to program it so that it's actually based on the current result from the stack of character maps, which is way more powerful. But you just have to be mindful that that's the case. But anyway, I mean, I can think of a lot of different uses for that, so I'm glad he did it that way. But I'm also glad I realized that that might be the case, and we made quick work of that particular bug. But that all being said, I think we made a good amount of progress for this video, and I don't want to carry it on.
Why don't we quickly test level 2 and see if all the art is replaced in there? I don't know if we got a good look at it.
Yeah, we didn't test after doing all the code for all of the sprites.
Right.
So let's really quickly, we just did the dust, which I think might be one of the easiest. Oh, the power-up will be a really good one. For level 2, to make sure it's showing the thunder power-up or lightning instead of the flame.
Right.
But anyway, so the dust is definitely right. He's not starting out with his gauntlet, so that's great. I want to add a little AI extra code so that these humanoid enemies don't stand inside each other, because that can get kind of lame. But not during this video. Alright, so level 1's definitely working exactly as it should. Let's go into level 2. Run that. We'll start with no gauntlet. We'll start with a more powder blue color palette for the player. There might be a chipmunk mode while I earn my
I wanted to mainly see if that power up, like what it looked like. Because
there it is. Look at that.
Oh, nice. Yep. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yep. Very, very nice. Alright, so... Was there another one? I mean, the other things? Oh, the explosion, stuff like that. It certainly looks it. I see the more muted
I think it's working, but it's not incredibly noticeable. It's just everything looks a little cooler.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's something that the overwhelming majority of people would never notice, that those things are color tweaked to match the level. But like, we're just being really meticulous sticklers for the technical constraints, so that when the eventual Amiga port gets made, it looks as exactly like this version as possible. And basically make sure we're not cheating, since this is meant to be a very retro faithful game, so to speak. It's not made for the old platform, this initial version, but it's made faithful to the technical visual constraints of that device, that 30-year-old computer. But anyway, yeah, everything's working. Worked out well. So I guess we're done, unless you have any last thoughts or anything else you want to get done, Corey.
No, I don't think so. I think that pretty much covers it.
All right, awesome. Thanks, everyone, very much for watching.